Today we're learning to dice a tomato, and while we're at it, we'll turn it into a tabbouleh-inspired tuna salad that is my go-to lunch when I'm pressed for time. You only dirty one pot, spend a few minutes chopping, and you have a meal. Let's start with the bulgur. What exactly is it? Bulgur is cracked wheat berries that are partially cooked and then dried. I know that wheat gets a bad rap these days, but bulgur is actually loaded with fiber and protein. Quinoa is certainly trendier, but I think bulgur is cheaper, tastier, and much easier to cook. The only trouble you might run into with cooking bulgur is that each brand has a different granulation, so some is finer, some is coarser. So the exact amount of water and the cooking time might vary. If my recipe produces true results for the bulgur that you're using, next time use a bit more water and double the cooking time. Put 1.5 cups of bulgur into a pot. Add 2 cups of water and some salt. No need to get the salt perfect at this point, since we can adjust it when making the salad. Stir it together. Cover and bring to a boil over high heat. As soon as you see the steam escaping from the lid, turn down the heat to low and cook for 5 minutes. Take off heat and let rest for 20 minutes before opening the pot. While our bulgur is cooking, let's prep the veggies. No measurements here, just use your best judgment. We'll need some peeled and diced cucumber, a few scallions. If yours are really chubby, you can cut the white part lengthwise a few times. Double them up and then slice crosswise. A ton of herbs. I like parsley, dill, and cilantro, but any one of those 3 would be lovely. For parsley and dill, I like to pull out the thick stems, but for cilantro I don't bother, since cilantro stems are so tender. Before you pick up your knife, use both hands to roll all those herbs into a tight ball and slice. Go slowly and keep your fingers tucked in. At some point, the ball of herbs might fall apart too much. The best thing to do in that case is to put your knife down, re-roll the herbs, and keep on chugging. In the end, mince it all up to get it as fine or coarse as you want. Tomatoes are last because they make a huge mess on your board. If your tomato has a green stem still attached, remove it. Now you have a flat surface to set your tomato on and keep it steady without the need to cut it in half. Make parallel cuts that stop about ½ an inch before reaching the board. Here, let me show you where I'm stopping. Basically, don't cut all the way through. Rotate the tomato 90 degrees and repeat. Make sure to glide the knife back and forth and avoid any downward pressure. Pressing down can squash the tomato, even if your knife is sharp. Here's what we have so far. Stand the tomato up on its side and gently slice through it until you get close to the core. Watch out for where your previous 2 sets of cuts end, and that's where you stop. Put the remaining tomato flat on the board and slice it, but don't cut through the core. Cut around it. Rotate 90 degrees and slice. Again, don't cut through the core. In the end, you'll have a little square core that you can remove and discard. Of course, the only way any of this is going to work is if you have a sharp knife. I have a gazillion videos on knives. Look in the description below for videos on how to sharpen and hone your knives and how to use a claw grip. Tomato skin is notoriously hard to cut through, so honing your knife right before working with tomatoes is a good idea. If your chef's knife isn't cutting through the tomato skin, you can cheat and use a serrated bread knife. I won't tell if you won't tell. Okay, we got everything chopped up. Let's take a look at our bulgur. See how it's a bit stuck together? It's because I got caught up shooting other videos and let it sit for a few hours after it was done. But the wonderful thing about bulgur is that it's pretty much indestructible. It doesn't turn mushy. So don't be afraid to be very rough and break it all up. By the way, if you have an instant pot, it's a perfect tool for cooking bulgur. I set it for 3 minutes on low pressure and then let the pressure drop naturally. Once the pressure indicator is down, you can open the pot, fluff up your bulgur and add all the other ingredients right to it so that you aren't dirtying another bowl. Today my pot is too small for that, so I'll do the final mixing in a big bowl. To add more protein to the salad, I like to add some canned tuna. Today I splurged on this really silky kind called ventresca, which is the tuna belly, but any tuna will work. Let's add some black pepper, a very generous squirt of lemon, I'd guess about 3 to 4 tablespoons, a very generous glug of olive oil, I'm guessing about 1/3 of a cup. My bulgur and tuna are already salted, but my veggies aren't, so I want to bring them to the top so that the salt falls on them. Mix it all up very thoroughly and then taste. It should taste very moist and juicy and well salted. You might need more lemon juice, more oil, or more salt. If you aren't sure what the heck you need, move a bit of salad into a small bowl and experiment on that. The salad is best if served right away, but it can wait for a couple of hours at room temperature. If you want to make it a day ahead, I would suggest you hold the cucumbers and tomatoes back and add them as close to the serving as possible. If they sit for too long, they'll release a ton of juice and get limp and yucky. But the bulgur, herbs, and tuna components will be fine in the fridge overnight. Here are more culinary tutorials for you to check out, and the link to my classes is in the description below.